Hello everyone and welcome once again. My name is Ravi Ranjan and I'm glad to host all of you for this series, very interesting series called Upstarts with Dr. Apoorva Ranjan Sharma. For those of you who are attending for the first time, I would like you to introduce you to the entire Fireside Chat series. This Fireside Chat series is the brainchild of Dr. Apoorva Ranjan Sharma, co-founder and president of Venture Catalyst. Each session covers important topics about successful startup building. Dr. Apoorva is interviewing successful category leading entrepreneurs to unveil their journeys. These sessions will be organized as Upstarts with Dr. Apoorva Ranjan Sharma series. For today's session, we have invited a very successful startup founder, Mr. Saurabh Garg from NoBroker, to share his experience and journey with us. Before we start the event, I would like to very quickly talk about the event format today. We would start with a quick introduction of Dr. Apoorva Ranjan Sharma, followed by introduction of Mr. Saurabh Garg, co-founder NoBroker. That would be followed by a fireside chat between Dr. Apoorva Ranjan Sharma and Mr. Saurabh Garg, where Dr. Sharma would be asking some of the very, very fundamental questions about building NoBroker from an idea to what it is today, which has, it is today one of the largest platform in the country, and a lot of interesting fact, both about NoBroker as well as Saurabh as an entrepreneur and as an individual, how the entire journey kind of came together. This is a series where we hosted some successful entrepreneurs such as Mr. Ritesh Agarwal from Oyo Rooms, Mr. Ashutosh Walani from Beardo, and many others. And we would be hosting 2 sessions every month to make sure that we bring a global perspective on how some of the most successful entrepreneurs have built their ventures, both in India as well as outside. Without any further ado, I would like to introduce you to Dr. Apoorva Ranjan Sharma. Dr. Apoorva Ranjan Sharma is the co-founder and president of Venture Catalyst and 9 Unicorn Fund. Under his leadership, Venture Catalyst has become world's #7 most active incubator and early stage investor. It has invested in over 100 plus startups, built an ecosystem of 4,500 plus angel investors across 36 cities. Dr. Sharma is a PhD in incubation from India, acclaimed globally. He holds an MBA, BTech from reputed institutions, and diploma in mentoring studies from UC Berkeley. Dr. Sharma has been mentoring and investing in startups since 2002. He has established more than 12 incubators in India. Today, he sits on the Technology Development Board of Department of Sciences and Technology, India. Dr. Sharma has mentored and invested in more than 100 startups. He has a keen eye for identifying unicorns at a very early stage. In 2012, with Venture Nursery, he invested in Oyo Rooms as the first investor and mentor. Today, Oyo Room has become one of the most valued startups globally, with a valuation of over $10 billion. In 2017, with Venture Catalyst, he invested in Beardo as the first investor and mentor. Today, Beardo has become India's largest growing men's grooming brand, successfully acquired by Marico. His other successful portfolio includes BharatPe, valued at $500 million today, Innovate, acquired by Oyo Rooms, Find, acquired by Reliance Industries, Super Daily, acquired by Swiggy, and 30 plus multi-bagger successful exits. Dr. Sharma, it is a privilege to host you for this wonderful event series. And
thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Ravi. But the day is today with Saurabh. Actually, Saurabh is the star of the day.
Certainly. I move on to our guest of the day, Mr. Saurabh Garg. Mr. Saurabh Garg is the co-founder of NoBroker. After a short stint at Hindustan Lever, he co-founded 4 Fountains De-Stress Spa and built it into India's largest chain of scientific health spas. In March 2014, he co-founded NoBroker along with his 2 friends. NoBroker is a revolutionary real estate platform that makes it easier to buy, rent, or sell a home without paying any brokerage at all. Since its humble beginning in 2014, NoBroker has served over 30 lakh customers monthly. During their early days, they had raised money from angels such as Vijay Shekhar Sharma of Paytm and Anand Chandrasekharan. NoBroker has raised a total of $200 million from investors such as General Atlantic, Safe Partners, Tiger Global, BNEX, KTB Ventures, Digital Garage, Callgrow, Rocket Ship VC, Fulcrum Capital, and others. Today, NoBroker is valued at over $400 million. NoBroker has a team of 1,500 plus people driven by passion to help customers fulfill their real estate requirements without any brokerage. Saurabh is the CBO at NoBroker. He's a postgraduate from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and a graduate from IIT Bombay. Saurabh is passionate about supporting entrepreneurs in his free time. He loves to mentor early stage startups. One interesting fact about Saurabh, he loves squash, running, and reading. Each hobby has helped him in his entrepreneurship journey in more ways than one. Saurabh, We understand you're a very busy person, but we would like to thank you on behalf of Venture Catalyst to take out time to be part of the series with us today. Thank you so much, and over to you, Dr. Sharma, for the fireside.
Thanks, Ravi. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
great. Thanks for inviting me for this, and really great to be here.
Thank you, Saurabh, first of all, for taking out your time from such a busy schedule you have. And I see that during pandemic also, you have launched new products and you have raised capital. Such a time and your business is growing up. So we are very lucky to have you here with us today. And frankly, it is a great learning for millions of entrepreneurs in India, and across the globe, while we are interacting and with the successful entrepreneurs like you. So my first question to you, which is my favorite question, because you are working with Hindustan Lever, and I see your sales is your expertise, and you are good. You even write yourself as a chief business officer. I've seen this Robin Hood disrupting the stock broking in US, and then Giroda has done that in India. How did this idea of disrupt zero brokerage in the real estate, especially rental and as well as came in your right mind? Were you inspired by any of these unicorn companies or decacorn companies, or it is some difficulty which something from where this idea came? What was the genesis in you? Many people want to know from you.
Yeah. So I was working with Hindustan Unilever, and luckily for me, they used to provide an accommodation, and I had a beautiful flat in Bandra. I was in Bombay that time. So when I quit that company to start my first venture, then I said that, okay, the first time I had to actually work with brokers to find a house. And I thought that it's a very expensive thing, because in Bombay, even the rents were very high. And, finding a house, you'll have to pay 50,000-60,000 rupees as brokerage. So I thought of trying to find a house without paying any brokerage. And, there were multiple real estate websites that time. There were multiple classifieds. So I tried on all those for almost, I would say, 2 months. And I realized that it doesn't just happen. I mean, there were no platform which can connect owners directly to tenants or buyers, and everybody there is a broker. Even people who are posting as owners, they are just brokers faking as owners. So I mean that's the time when I started thinking about this, and I finally had to rent a house with a broker. I had to pay 60,000 rupees as brokerage, and after 11 months, when I was renewing that contract with the landlord, the broker came back and he said, "Sir, आपको brokerage वापस देना पड़ेगा." I said, "But I am just renewing the agreement with the landlord. Why should I be paying brokerage again?" He said, "That's the rule." And I mean, that was such a bad experience, and that's when it triggered my mind that this problem needs to be solved, because there are, I mean, millions of people like me who are paying this huge amount of brokerage every year. So that time itself, I bought this domain name NoBroker.in, and I said that this is something which has to be solved. And over a period of time, I mean, I met Akhil and Amit. So Amit is my batchmate from Ahmedabad, and he used to be on the same floor and same dorm as me. And Akhil is my junior from IIT Bombay. And we were chatting once, and I realized that both of them have also had very similar experiences. Amit was in Bombay, Akhil was in Bangalore that time. And they have also had pretty bad experiences with brokers. I mean, for Amit, there was an example where he just met a broker. Broker called the prospective landlord and said, "Ki, sir, मैं इनको बहुत अच्छे से जानता हूँ. I know him very well. तो आप बिल्कुल चिंता मत करिए." and he also told कि, "Sir, ये pure vegetarian है. आपको कोई problem नहीं है." And Amit is a non-vegetarian. After that, whenever the landlord used to visit Amit's house, he had to hide all his eggs and meat. So, he had a pretty bad experience there also. So all three of us said that कि यार ये problem बहुत बड़ी है, मतलब बहुत सारे लोग face कर रहे हैं. Every year they face this problem, but how big is that? And that's when we started doing some analysis that what is the scale of this problem. So I don't know, but if you have any idea that how much brokerage is paid every year in India? Dr. Apu, do you have any idea? Take a wild guess.
Must be thousands of the crores. You know, this is must.
It's 1,40,000 crores.
Ooh,
1,40,000
1,40,000 crores.
Yeah,
Amazing.
that's the amount of brokerage which is paid by people like you and me every year in India. You know, so that's when you said, boss, this is a pretty big thing, and we have to solve it. And that's when the journey for NoBroker started from our very own personal experiences.
So that pain of brokerage created a company which is now valued $400 million. And I'm sure it's going to be a decacorn soon. My question to you is, next question. A lot of times this has been observed, you know, while you're studying, you meet your fellow entrepreneurs, you meet your partners. Did something like that happen with you while you were developing, while you were studying at IIMs, or while you were studying at, you know, doing your grad? You know, did something like that happen with you, or how you found your partners in, you know, NoBroker?
Yeah. So, like I said, Akhil is my junior from IIT Bombay. We were on the, so in IIT, for example, the wing culture is very important. So, you know, you really get very close to your wing mates. So Akhil was my junior in the same wing. So he was 2 rooms away from me. And after I left IIT, he came into my room. And Amit was also my batchmate from IIM Ahmedabad. We were in the same dorm, same floor. So, you know, again, I mean, we used to be together almost 13, 14 hours every day because we were in the same floor, in the same dorm. And I think it's very important to know your co-founders really well, because I mean, all of you know that making a business, creating a business is a very tough problem. You know, everybody has different viewpoints, everybody has different opinions. Many times you will actually have a very contradictory opinions, and you know, sometimes data is not available and you have to go by gut call. So at that time, it is very important that you're very comfortable with your co-founders, because you will fight, you will argue, but at the end of the day, you should say, okay, let's just forget that, take one decision, whatever, you know, we can either we convince each other. If we're not able to, then somebody has to take a call. But people should not feel bad about that. And that's why at the end of the day, you should say, okay, let's go for a beer and forget about whatever we've argued during the day. So it's important to have that comfort. It's as important as choosing your life partner, because you spend almost the same time, probably more time with your co-founders than you spend with your life partners. So yeah, I was very lucky to have these guys as my co-founders. We know each other for Akhil, I know for almost 20 years. Amit, I know for 18 years. So yeah, pretty lucky to have these guys with me.
So choosing a business partner is as important as finding your life partner. It's a golden line. Ravi, remember this always. So next question. You know, whenever somebody is disrupting a space, you know, like I interacted with Bhavesh, the way he disrupted the cab services, there's a huge protest, especially from the unorganized sectors, when they are, you know, seeing their jobs going out, their businesses going out of that. Did you also face something like that when you were developing NoBroker from Bangalore?
Yeah. So look, when we started NoBroker, we always thought that you know, the culture of the company is very important. We have to build the culture early on, and we said that rather than having a proper, you know, structured formal office, we'll have a bungalow, you know, so that the entire team is very close, can interact a lot more, a lot of open spaces, you can sit and chat around and stuff. So we had a bungalow in HSR layout, which is an area in Bangalore, and we used to operate from there. I think after 1 year of starting, it was on September 2015, I think, we were there. So bungalow had a terrace, and we were sitting and chatting and doing some work. Suddenly we saw that there's some commotion, and we saw some 40-50 guys are coming towards our bungalow. First, we thought that probably it's some religious procession, because you know, there are many religious processions that you have in India. So we thought that something like that is there. But then we realized that it's actually a group of some 40 or 50 brokers who were coming to attack our office. You know, physically come and break things, break into office, hurt our employees, something
Ravi?
like that. So
Yeah.
that was,
Yeah.
so yeah, that was a very, very crazy time. Those guys tried to break in, tried to pick things and stuff. We had to call police. The same day, we had also to vacate the office because the landlord had not taken commercial approval and all that. I think a very, very harrowing experience for us. And we didn't have any place to go. So for the next almost 2.5 months, we were operating from makeshift offices. Half team was in one place, half team was in another place. In one office, we didn't even have a seating arrangement, so we were working on mattresses and doing things over there. So I think that 2.5, 3 months was a crazy time, and really we felt that. I mean, we had never anticipated something like this. That somebody will come and start attacking us. Somebody will come and start breaking things. So a crazy time. But what we realize is that those 2.5, 3 months were so important for the DNA of our company. You know, those 2.5, 3 months was a time when the entire team came together, and and all of us bonded so well over those working on mattresses, no chairs and stuff. Plus, we also realized that we are doing something right. We are making an impact, and that's why there is a reaction which is there. So that made us very, very confident that boss, we are driving something. We are doing something right, and that's why these kind of things are happening. I think that was a conviction from where we decided to grow much, much faster. Uh, and then we finally found an office which is in a proper commercial complex with guards and CCTV cameras. And our office address is not on Google Maps, so now the brokers can't find us. So yeah, but I think that was a time which was harrowing, plus also a time when we found our identity. I think that is also a very important thing which happened.
One protest event filled you and your team with a full of positivism, and the fire which made you so big. And that is something maybe not happen with everybody's life, but the people who are disrupting the space, creating something really big, it gives them a sense that they are doing something right, something which is created a kind of fire amongst all the team members to make it so big. Inspirational, no doubt about it. Saurabh, you have been a serial entrepreneur. I've been seeing, after Unilever, you did one startup, which is Spa, which is one of the biggest spa in India now, who are already known to everybody now. Even I saw you did another mentored a startup into daily meals and meals. Then you got the idea of NoBroker, right? So my question to you is now, after it's $400 million company, what has changed with Saurabh, who started Spa company, and Saurabh, which is now leading the way, and along with his partner to make it the next unicorn and next most successful technology company, especially in the space of real estate. What has changed? What has changed? How the people change? How are the investors seeing you as a change? How are the people across the world are seeing you? How, what are the things changed in your life? More a
Sure.
question to you.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question. Uh, so when I started my first startup 2007, Dr. Apoor, you were already in the startup ecosystem that time, and you know how things were that time. So there were first very few venture funds, very few venture funds. I remember that when we tried to raise money that time, we went to one fund and they said, once you have 25 branches, then come back. And I told them, once I have 25 branches, I don't need you.
Sorry, why do you need him? Yeah, if you have 45 branches. So these are kind of questions used to come to many entrepreneurs at that time. I remember.
Yeah.
Very tough time. Very
Yeah.
tough time.
So I think the ecosystem had not matured, and people were also experimenting with various things. The funding system was very broken. There were no angel investors, very few angel investors to say, uh, very few mentors to go and speak to. I remember at that time, uh, I think probably few people who could guide us about how things are there. I think that has changed a lot. So now, if you look at the current 13 years, 14 years later, I clearly see marked difference in that. There are a lot of people a lot of funds. I mean, fund like venture capitalist is there. I mean, again, a lot of innovative people doing a lot of stuff. So I think that has definitely changed. And people now, I also remember that when I was trying to start something that time, my parents were like, "Boss, have you gone mad? I mean, you're quitting your job at Unilever and want to start something. What is wrong with you?" I think that
What
also
is
has.
wrong with you? That was a question used to come very often to that. That is true.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that has also now changed. I think now you see parents actually encouraging their children that they should probably look at starting something. So something that has changed a lot in the ecosystem from that time. But I would say what has changed for me is that one, probably I have a better understanding of consumer problems and pain points. A little bit more consumer insights. I mean, I was just out of Unilever. Of course, Unilever is a great place to learn consumer insights, and I had worked on brands like Lux and had a lot of learning from there. And Unilever also puts you in very early into a situation where you're leading a large group of people. So again, I think it's definitely like Sudhir Sitapi says, it's a CEO factory. So clearly a lot of people have come out of Unilever and got that. But still, I think 3 years was not enough for me to have that kind of understanding of consumer insight. So that has definitely something which has changed over this time. Uh, Second, I think what has definitely also changed is that now I can understand the impact of technology, and the kind of scale that the technology can bring. So, I mean, for example, when you're starting an offline business like a spa chain, you have to first make an investment, scale that, then you go to other branch, then make some investment, go to other branch. So it's a very linear kind of a growth. But if you look at NoBroker, we don't even have office in other cities. We are only one office, which is in Bangalore, and everything happens from there. Whenever we have to launch a new city, it's just a click of a button. I mean, we just have to start our online advertisement, add one city, and you can just launch it. I mean, that's the kind of scale which can come. For example, we recently launched Hyderabad in Delhi, two cities last year, and launching those cities was maybe a 15-day work in which we understood the cities, tried to figure out what kind of online marketing has to be done, and then launch those cities. Because ultimately everything is online. You have no people on the ground doing anything. It's basically a matchmaking. So impact of technology in terms of scalability is something which is huge, and that is something which has changed again. Uh, Thirdly, I would say as a person, I have now started delegating more things. When I was fresh, entrepreneur, I wanted to do everything myself. Yeah, this is also something which I will do. That is also something I will do. Show it to me before anything is going. So, but I also realized that it's very important for people who are in the leadership position to have a very strong team. The team which can deliver a lot of things without too much of your effort, because then you can uh, focus on thinking, focus on figuring out what are the things which you need to do next. Otherwise you get stuck with just the operational stuff. So important, it's very, very important to have a good second line of people, and that is an understanding which also evolved over a period of time. uh, I think in terms of how people are looking at me, I don't know if much has changed, because most of the people who run funds in India, many of them are my batchmates, and I know them from college, and so we already knew each other. Uh, but yeah, I think we have got a lot of international funds participating, funds like Tigers and Atlantic, and these guys coming in, which is great, and which is something. For example, General Atlantic is an investor in real estate in almost 9 or 10 companies across the globe. So the kind of learning which they pass on to us is enormous, and really helps us. So yeah, I think a lot has changed, but I would still say that after 14 years, I as a Saurabh, I am the same person. That has not changed much.
So great. Saurabh not changed, but delegations, technology, all these things are changing his life. You've raised close to $200 million. Not much. Too much. And which is not even the valuation of many of the companies, right? So, but I want to know from you, when you took your first money, what were your challenges at that time? And, what is your relationship with the first check givers even now? So that is a lot of entrepreneurs would like to listen from you.
Right. So we started working on NoBroker in 2013 and raised our first round in 2014 and something around that. I remember that we were trying to meet a lot of venture funds and explaining them that this is what NoBroker does. This is what we plan to do. We were very small that time. Every day we were getting some 40, 50 people registering their property on NoBroker and renting out maybe 5 or 10 properties every day. So I remember meeting a lot of venture funds and explaining that concept to them. And that was a time which I would say was the US-China time. So they asked us, "Is this in US?" I said, "No, it's not there." "Is it in China?" "No, it's not there."
It's not. It's Indian company. It's Indian product company, technology product company.
Yeah, of course. So, and then most people's answer, "Oh, okay, fine, we'll wait for some time. We'll see what happens." But I think that the context is so very different. US and China are very, very different markets. Those are regulated markets. There, a broker has to take a license. The service that the broker provides are much, much wider. The fees are very different, and the quality, the entire experience is so very different. But I think that was a wave of US and China that time. But ultimately, we finally almost were on the verge of raising, and were about to close a round with, I remember 3 or 4 funds were interested, and they said, "Okay, fine, we'll look at giving you a term sheet soon." And that's when one of our competitors went and raised 90 million from SoftBank. So it was a time when we were expecting a term sheet next day, and this was the headline of Economic Times and all the major things, that this real estate company has raised $90 million. And suddenly the entire scenario changed. So people who were saying, "Okay, we think it's very interesting," started talking like, "Well, let's see, because I don't know if real estate market is large enough in India." And we're like, "Real estate market is not
This
large."
Natural question. You see a 90 million raise, the shaking happens.
Yeah.
I don't think whether the VC industry itself is very large enough in India or not.
Yeah.
That was the reason why.
And then somebody said that, "We think what you guys are doing is interesting, but we think you should not call me NoBroker. You should work with brokers." We said that there is no reason for our existence. If we are working with brokers, there is no reason for us to exist. There are already players who work with brokers. So I think that was a time which was like one of the most difficult times, because on the verge of getting a term sheet, and then suddenly, everything just fizzled out. But we were lucky. I think SAF Partners, now Elevation, they just rebranded themselves, believed in us, and they came in early, and they committed $3 million at that stage, because they said that what you guys are doing is actually an India specific problem. This is what the country like India needs. We don't need a copy of what happens in the US or China. So that was the first check which came in, and SAF is still an active investor. They're on our board. Mayank, who's a partner there, is on our board, and we have a very, very good relationship with him. Anything comes, I think SAF is the first people we go and speak to. Very good guys to work with. Clearly, they give a lot of independence. They don't drive pure decisions. They leave everything to you. I think if anybody here is looking to raise money, they should definitely speak to those guys.
Hope at that time venture capitalists would have existed. Right, so good. You know, journey with pandemic. A lot of people stopped raising, thinking about raise. A lot of entrepreneurs thought, it's very difficult time, very difficult to predict the revenues, very difficult to predict what will happen after 1 year. A lot of VCs also stopped investing. But suddenly we heard that you raised the money at a $400 million kind of valuation. How did you convince investors, and how did you took the courage to do this? And was your business supporting you at that time, to do this kind of thing? Sure. I saw that. That's why it's a lot of entrepreneurs are inquisitive about it.
Yeah. So look, two, three things happened that time. One, we were very single-mindedly focused on execution that time because we had just raised money from Tiger a few months back, and we realized that now we need to scale up, and the result was phenomenal. We started focusing on buy-sell segment, and that had started giving us really good results. So we started selling 2,000 houses every month by February. That's a pretty, I think, probably highest in India. We're selling 2,000 houses. Many large companies don't sell 2,000 houses per month. Many large real estate companies also. So that is one part. We had also started becoming a one-stop shop for all the real estate needs. So anybody who's looking for a house, from searching a house to finding that home to moving into that, including things like rent agreement, packers and movers, things like loan agreement, getting a loan, interiors, legal documentation, everything in one place. So that was also giving us a very good traction. And as soon as pandemic happened, we realized that what is going to happen, and that's what our investors also realized, what is going to happen is a lot of demand is going to shift online. And this is something which we're seeing right now. Real estate market as a whole might not be growing that fast, but our share has definitely increased over the period of time because people are not comfortable going offline, visiting multiple houses, and then finalizing something. What they want is they want to see those 10 houses online, find 1 or 2 or maybe 3 which suit their requirements, and just visit those. And rather than visiting 10 houses with the broker or with anything offline. So that was the entire thesis with which we went to the investors and said that this is a time for us to now grow much faster because this entire demand is going to come to us. And we have seen that happening, from the time that this pandemic happened to now. We are doing much better than where we are doing pre-pandemic now. Our revenues are higher, our transactions are higher, people showing interest, the buyers. I was just thinking that buyers have grown by almost 50% on our platform in the last 6 months. So clearly we are seeing that entire traction happening, and that's how we were able to convince the investors also. And I think that was the right thing to do. Plus, we also were probably one of the businesses at that time which was kind of prepared for pandemic. So we were able to still service our customers. We were still able to do things while a lot of businesses were figuring out what needs to be done. So I clearly see that was the value proposition which we had, and that investors said, yeah, that makes sense for them to come in at this time.
So it is positively impacted. Frankly, the pandemic actually positively impacted your business.
Yeah.
And the people who you were a little bit careful about meeting face to face, they started going online with you. So that was very good for you. And did you also expanded your product offering? I saw somewhere NoBroker hood you launched, and apart from the matching of brokerage, you also launched multiple other services to your product. That really helped you building your base, grabbing your bigger market share.
Yeah. So yeah, we did a lot of things in this past 6-7 months. I mean, NoBroker existed even before pandemic, but we scaled it up significantly during that time. And I think a couple of reasons for doing that. One, clearly, societies started understanding the importance of app-based security management and visitor management, society management system, because otherwise they have to do a lot of things offline, a lot of things where people have to do face-to-face things. So that was something which society started realizing. Second, what we also did was that we prepared ourselves to service and sell NoBroker hood even during the pandemic. So what we did was that we started doing online sales. We started giving the demo online and started aggressively reaching out to the societies. I think that was a time when most of the other competitors in this space were still figuring what to do. And we got a much lead over there, and we expanded very fast that time. One more lucky thing for us was that we had just acquired Society Connect a month and a half before that. And they brought in a lot of both a very great team, good people who could help us scale NoBroker hood, plus a very strong product, one of the best in India, which also came in. So that also helped us in expanding NoBroker hood. Apart from that, of course, we expanded a lot of our other offerings. Our rent pay on NoBroker, that has scaled up significantly. We do people can come and seamlessly pay rent with the help of a credit card. We are the biggest in India. We also expanded our value-added services. For example, we launched sanitization services, we launched cleaning services. So the entire thing about one-stop shop actually became a reality during this time. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff has happened in the last 5-6 months. Also, I believe that we got time in that month of April when things were more stagnant to think on a lot of stuck projects and bring them to life. And a lot of that also resulted in these things happening. So we used that April month very effectively and were able to do a lot of stuff which we had planned to do for such a long time.
So rental is a low ticket. I understand people, but selling a house online, is that also something a market which is your company is able to create effectively, or shall we see some large transactions happening there someday when some builder is going to sell everything online with you? Is that something like that also likely to come in the future, or it is already happening?
Yeah. So yeah, I think sale is a very, you're right that the transaction is much more involved. It's a large ticket transaction also, but then the brokerage is also higher, so you end up paying a lot more money as a brokerage when you're doing a sale transaction. It's anywhere between, 3 to 4% if you look at the transaction. So if you're doing a 1 crore transaction, you end up spending 3-4 lakhs in just brokerage, which is a huge amount. So we had a resale product for a long time, I think for almost 3 years now. And by this time, we had started selling 2,000 houses every month. That's probably the largest in India. Nobody sells 2,000 houses every month in India. And as I was saying, that many of these large companies you look at, large real estate builders, they also don't sell 2,000 properties every month. So the resale was pretty developed for us. We have been working with developers also now. So that is something which we are focusing now. Because again, the kind of intermediation fee which is there, that is also huge, So a broker ends up, if you get into a slab, ends up charging some 4 or 5% from a builder. And builder is not going to pay it from his own pocket. It's the buyer who's paying that. So we again feel that's a huge cost and something which the buyer should not be paying. Rather than paying 1 crore, he can get that house for 95 lakhs if he doesn't go through the brokerage. But that doesn't happen because of this entire problem. So we are very focused on also buyers now, working both in the primary and resale market. Incidentally, we just launched a TV ad also, which is focused on buyers and telling them about our proposition. So yeah, I think many people don't know this, but we would be the largest seller of properties in India.
Super. Last question, this is a global problem which you're trying to solve. This is not just in India. And I'm very proud of, people like Oyo, which has become a global company. I always want to ask some of the founders that, will you all, do you also have plans to go global and become a market leader globally, like the way OYO has become the market leader globally now? Do you have some plans like that?
So I think you're right. This problem exists in many parts of the world. It's a global problem, and then a lot of markets are very similar. A lot of markets are like this, like India, which are unorganized, where the brokerage is huge, it's not regulated. So we see that, for example, the Middle East and Southeast Asia are very, very similar markets, and something which is there. So we always have, I mean, had a vision that we should be launching globally. Incidentally, when we were in our very initial phase, we also did a pilot in Philippines, where we launched NoBroker in Philippines for a month, and just the same proposition on NoBroker.ph. We ran some ads, people came, listed the property, and we were able to rent out those properties. So fundamentally, we believe, yes, this is a global concept and something which we should be scaling up at some point of time. Having said that, I think the market in India is also very, very large. Right now we're present only in 11 large cities in India, and there are at least 50 cities which need to be reached to before we should be thinking of going global. So I think for the next couple of years, we would want to focus on India, go deeper in the cities where we are, expand cities, and then probably explore if we have to look at a global market.
Favorite question, my favorite question, last question. You've become successful entrepreneurs. There's a lot for you to share with other entrepreneurs. Do you also mentor a startup? Do you also planning to give back to the society in some form or other?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I already meet a lot of entrepreneurs. I try and help them from my experience, whatever I have learned over this period of time. I already mentor one startup in my daily, as you already know. And there are other startups who keep coming and meeting me and various point of time. I usually spend time on weekends meeting some startups, helping them in whatever questions they might have. So yeah, I think that's something which is important. And as I said, that was something which I struggled with when I was starting my first startup. So it really is up to us now to make sure that this ecosystem is more evolved, and a person who is starting up should not make the same mistakes which I have made, right? And should be able to learn from what I have done, and expand faster and grow faster.
You acquired Society Connect February. Do you have more such plans? Are you in the, because I've seen even OYO acquiring so many companies. Do you guys also planning some more acquisitions in the near future for your next level of growth?
For us, acquisition, we don't have acquisition as a strategy as such. But what we did was that Society Connect was a very natural fit to NoBrokerhood. They had a great product, one of the best CRM product in India. And NoBrokerhood, we had an option of either creating a CRM product or acquiring something like Society Connect. We met the team. We really liked the team. The great guys, Shobna, Manish, and Saurabh, who run Society Connect, and very, very passionate about it. And the product that they had created is fabulous. So we said that rather than spending time and effort to create a product, it is better to get these guys in who are also very passionate about this, who will bring that energy and experience of running this. And that's why we acquired Society Connect. For us, I think acquisition comes not as a strategy as such, but more as if we see something is required, should we build it or should we acquire that? And in most cases, we have ended up building ourselves. I think Society Connect was a really great and superior product, and we also thought that time is of essence. So let's get those guys in. I'm very happy with what we have done.
Thank you very much, Saurabh, for spending time with us, giving us great insight. Over to you, Ravi. Take it from here.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I think it was a wonderful fireside. Some brilliant questions and some very, very interesting insights from Saurabh. Thank you so much for enlightening all of us. We have a lot of questions and we don't have a lot of time, but we'll try and take as many as we can. The first question, uh, how did you remove the risk of not getting attacked again by brokers and also getting attached by brokers? Was there a collaborative solution to that problem which started in the beginning of NoBroker?
Okay, so apart from not having our address on Google Maps, that is what you mean. So for example, our office address is not on Google Maps now. So that is one of the things which we did. No, so we have, I mean, we have not done anything collaboratively with them as of now. But what we also realized is once we moved into a much more secured office, second, I think when they attacked, we were completely free also. There was no fee even on NoBroker. So I think there, one thing which we realized is we should also be charging some money. And I think we launched a subscription plan sometime later after that. But that happened naturally without, I mean, this decision impacted by that. But I think once we started charging some money, the brokers were a little more fine with the fact that it's not completely free and they're not here to, just do that. Also, what we also feel is that, a broker who will add value, who will really, really add value, who makes sure that he's serving his customers well, he will definitely be there. And there are some people who are like that. But there are people who are like not adding any value, just exchanging phone numbers. And majority of people are doing that. That I think is something which will face a problem. If you're not adding value to the customer, how will you be able to charge? If you look at rental brokerage, you charge 1 month brokerage for an 11-month contract from both sides. That's like 15 to 18% intermediation fee. Without adding any value, I think that will never exist. So I think we did not do anything consciously. We just said that let's face it how it comes. And over a period of time, I think brokers also started seeing expanded to other cities, and Bangalore is a much safer city anyway. So we have been living peacefully since then.
Surely. We'll take the next question, Saurabh. This question is from Adam. How did you convince early employees to join NoBroker, since real estate is a traditionally difficult business to build as well as scale?
Yeah. So I think what you need to convince early employees, and I think that's a very, very good question, because that's the most challenging part of it. But I really feel that your vision of what you want to achieve, that you need to communicate to the early employees really clearly. It's that vision of when we said, boss, we think that brokerage is something which you should not be paying. And everybody could relate to that, because everybody had paid so much brokerage over the period of time, had such bad experiences that they said, yeah, I think somewhere the amount of money paid and the quality of service are not correlating. There is definitely something broken here. So I think clearly articulating that vision and helping them understand how this company will scale up, what are the plans, that is the biggest thing which you need to have for early employees. And that also basically defines how the culture of your company would be, because these early employees have to come as people who feel like co-founders, who feel that, yeah, I am somebody who is contributing to this mission, this vision of solving this problem. I think that is very, very critical to bring in these early guys.
Wonderful, Saurabh. I have got another question, which is one of my favorite questions. This question is from Utsav Parekh. You have raised good capital and have brilliant intellectual capacity. How do you decide not to build certain features? I always tell my portfolio to be clear about what not to do. But when you have capital, how do you stop yourself from not doing too many things?
Yeah. I think you're right. There is always this temptation to say, we will do this and we will do that and we'll do everything. I think you're very right with that. I think for us, always the guiding principle has been, this feature, is it going to solve any customer problem? Is it going to solve any customer pain point? I think that has always been a guiding feature for us. And one very important thing which we do is that all of us, I mean, all three of us, and uh, most senior leaders in the team, they end up speaking to consumers every week. We speak to consumers. I mean, we are not meeting them right now. Earlier, we used to meet them also. But this is a very, very regular thing for us to do that, because we believe that unless you know your consumer very well, you will not be able to think on. I mean, it's the same exact problem which you'll end up doing. That you will probably make some features which are very glamorous and sexy and look great, but when you go to the consumer, you'll say, "Iska to mujhe zarurat hi nahi hai. I don't need this." I think that's the most important thing, that see what is the impact it's going to bring in your consumer's life. That should be always be the guiding principle, and that's what we follow.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Saurabh. We'll take the next question. It's a two-part question. Part one, when are you planning to go to tier 2 cities? And the second question, how do you decide which markets to expand first within India and globally, if the problem is very common both for India and outside, Saurabh?
Yeah. I think as of now, what we have done is we have expanded more geographically first. So example, we started with Bangalore and Bombay. Those are the two cities which we had launched in the very beginning. No reason for choosing them, just that I was in Bombay that time, Akhil was in Bangalore, I and Amit were in Bombay. So we said, let's launch these two cities. That's when we started bootstrapping. Once we raised money, we again didn't expand very fast. We have been we don't think it's a kind of a land grab which needs to be done. We think we have a very strong proposition. We will get our model in place, and then only we should expand. And that's why we waited before we launched another set of cities. The next cities which we launched were Pune and Chennai. And the reason was that, Pune is contiguous to Bombay and Chennai is almost next to Bangalore. And then we launched Hyderabad again, an extension. And later, we launched Delhi in December, January of this year. I mean, January this year. That was the time we launched Delhi. The reason for choosing Delhi at that time was that one of the largest real estate markets. We had no presence over there, and we thought that we have to expand. So the way that we have always chosen is, one, we try and do it closer to the cities where we are. I mean, the one reason being that there are some idiosyncrasies of each city, and we need to understand those idiosyncrasies before we launch those cities. And second, the language and all those things become easier because we have a call center which also has to support that. But now that we have launched Delhi, our next step would be to launching other cities which are more larger cities. For example, we're not in Ahmedabad, we're not in Calcutta, we're not in Jaipur. Some of those cities are something which we would be exploring next. For us, the decision has always been based on these two things: the size and how closer it is to our current geographic presence.
Thanks a lot, Saurabh. Next question. So I think brokerage has been a problem, especially in the real estate market in India for a long time. The second problem after brokerage is security deposit, especially in cities like Bangalore, where the deposits can go as high as 3 lakh rupees. Is there any plan to enter into that space?
Yeah, so I think one of the things we really feel has to be solved is about the security deposit, because if I'm renting a 30,000 house, then you're right. Almost 3 lakh rupees would be a deposit in cities like Bangalore, Chennai, places like these. So we are working on this problem. As of now, we have a very, makeshift solution, which is what we're saying is that we can help you get a loan from one of the banks or NBFCs for this deposit, and that also works. But the problem happens for people who are fresh out of college. Once you're fresh out of college, you don't have a credit history, and it's very difficult to get that loan. So yeah, this is a big problem, and this needs to be solved. So we are working on this. Hopefully, in the next couple of months, you should see some solution on this also.
Thanks a lot, Saurabh. This question is from my personal experience. At the beginning, it looks like a simple problem, but at the core, it's very, very challenging. Even today in India, as a bachelor and as an unmarried couple, you're not allowed to get a space of your own. It is very, very challenging, very frustrating, and at times it's very harassing as well. Do you think NoBroker would be able to somehow contribute towards solving this problem, Saurabh?
Yeah. So in a way, we are trying to solve this problem. What we have is on our platform, you will find bachelor-friendly homes also. So there is a filter for that. You can choose which homes allow bachelors. Having said that, there are some societies, for example, who don't allow bachelors as such, and even the owners are at the mercy of the management committee to decide whether they can be allowed. So I don't know if something can be done over there, but at least we'll provide options very clearly to people, saying that these are bachelor-friendly homes, and you can look at those options. Secondly, we also work with all the major co-living players. So anybody who's looking to find an accommodation which is bachelor-friendly and something which is ready to move in, that again is something which is available on NoBroker platform, and you can just go to that section and find that.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot. We'll take the next question, which is, I think it's $1 million question. What is your revenue source? How do you make money? Because you're not charging brokerage. People are not paying. What's the revenue source, Saurabh?
Yeah. So look, we always said that, the brokerage is a very, very high expense which a person has to make. So we don't think that's the kind of money which you should be spending for finding an apartment, finding a house. So we have a subscription model. So as an owner, for example, you can come and list your property completely free of cost. But, there are people who might be busy, people like us who might not have time to receive phone calls from tenants or buyers all the time. So we have a plan for them called a relaxed plan, in which they can get a phone relationship manager by paying a small fee of some 4,000 rupees, 4,000, 5,000 rupees. And the phone relationship manager will speak to all the tenants, explain all the details of the property, curate the tenants, schedule site visits, everything end to end. And once the tenant finalizes the property, also helps in the rental agreement, entire end-to-end transaction, negotiation, everything he does. Similarly, there is a plan for tenants and buyers also, where they can take either a phone relationship manager, or they can take, for example, for a tenant, 9 contacts are completely free of cost. If he wants to contact 25 owners, he will pay a very small fee of 999 rupees and can contact 25 owners. And if he wants a phone relationship manager, he has to pay 3,000 rupees or 2,999, and he can get a phone relationship manager to do that. So this is one large part of our revenue which comes from here, which is a subscription plan. Second part is from the value-added services which we provide, the end-to-end services, our home services. So for example, if you need a rental agreement, if you need package and mover services, if you need home loan, if you need legal documentation, interiors, everything, we're a one-stop shop, and everything you can find on NoBroker. And this is our second source of revenue that we have.
Very interesting, Saurabh. We still have a lot of questions, but to respect the time of both the guest and as well as the speakers, we would have to wrap up now. But we end the session with a promise that we'll come back again with one more session, because I'm sure there are a lot of questions still unanswered. A lot of people joined this session on Zoom platform as well as our Facebook pages, and this will be going out on various channels. And I'm sure thousands of entrepreneurs, investors across India and outside would learn a lot from this session. Saurabh, thank you so much on behalf of Venture Catalyst and 9 Unicorn to join this session. Thank you so much, Dr. Apoorva Ranjan Sharma.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Saurabh.
Thank you,
I would request, unlike a physical event where we can all meet, it's a virtual world, so we'll like to take a virtual picture together. So we'll take a picture at 1, 2, 3. I'll just allow me a second. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ravi.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saurabh.
Thank you so much to all the guests for joining the event. You have a great weekend and stay safe. Bye-bye.